Joining us now from Washington is our own Jacob Soboroff, who tonight is going to be watching the president's speech with 4 of the people who have been fired from their jobs working for the U.S. government. Jacob, this is a very interesting concept that you are pursuing tonight. Tell us about it and tell us about the folks you're going to be watching with.
Rachel, good to see you. And I'm so glad to be here in Washington, D.C., because it is the beating heart of the United States civil service. And with tens of thousands of people being fired from their jobs, unfortunately, it was not very hard to find people from all across the United States government who wanted to come here to talk to us tonight, to watch the speech with us tonight. And in fact, far more people wanted to join us than could fit into this small studio here at the MSNBC studios in Washington, D.C. I want to introduce you to them, and we'll hear a little bit from them ahead of the speech, and then we'll talk to them as well. After counterclockwise, from bottom right, we have Nigella Nacuna, who was fired from the U.S. Digital Service. They're all, by the way, in a remarkably good mood after having been fired from the federal government. I'm so grateful for them to be here. Alex Taylor was fired from the U.S. Geological Survey. Jesus Murillo was fired from HUD. And Catherine Steele was fired from the U.S. Forest Service. So, Catherine, why don't we just start with you? You were a recreational technician in the George Washington and Jefferson National Forest here in the D.C. area. And you were telling me about the work you were doing. You were literally going up to people, collecting fees from people that were recreating in the National Forest. You were servicing trash cans. You were dealing with maintenance issues. Quite simply, maybe first and foremost, and I'm so sorry, I should say again to all of you, for the circumstances that we're meeting in, who's going to do your important job now?
Exactly. I think we don't know, unfortunately, and I think the reality is that the Forest Service is now looking at closing recreation areas because we just don't have the staffing to provide those essential services anymore. You
told us that your performance review was incredibly positive, but when you were fired, you were told it was because of poor performance. Do you think they actually have any idea of who they're firing?
No, I don't think they have any clue who we are or the essential work that we do for people to recreate in public lands.
Nigella, let me ask you. You were a project leader and an AI senior advisor working inside the government at the U.S. Digital Service, which was the precursor to DOGE. But most recently, you were detailed to work on immigration issues. One of the things you were doing was using tech to reduce the backlog of people that were waiting within the immigration system. It's a huge problem. It's part of the reason that we heard from President Trump all the time that he wanted to institute a deportation plan, because there were so many people here with their status that hadn't been decided. You wanted to share data between agencies to make this a priority. This is a priority for them, too. Why would they get rid of you?
I don't know. I think some of these indiscriminate hirings, you're seeing a little bit of the callousness and misunderstanding of the work we actually do. The automations that we put in place, we're saving, and these are really conservative estimates, $6.5 million with a small and mighty team, because I had to go find and procure the funds, of $1.5 million max. And so these are returns of 300% plus. So it's really unclear why the Department of Government so-called efficiency would try and get rid of a group that is moving forward efficient practices and really seeing the savings of their work.
And you were a supporter of DOGE initially. I get the sense you aren't any longer.
I think tech implementation is a bipartisan issue, and it's a bipartisan priority to see our government work more efficiently for people. And so if that was their mission, which they touted it to be in the beginning, that's something that I was on board for. It was the mission of the United States Digital Service at the time. But so far, that has not been what they are doing. They are firing key members who have been working there for decades, and the work is really falling apart.
Jesus, let me ask you, you were a presidential management fellow. That was a organization created to bring the best, literally bring the best and the brightest into the United States federal government. It was created under Jimmy Carter in 1977. It has been a bipartisan program held up by presidents of both parties for almost 50 years now. You told me at HUD your task and duty was literally to learn how to make the federal government more efficient and effective. You were facilitating millions of dollars of grants and earmarks literally to localities to work with local stakeholders. Who are those people going to work with now?
You know, I don't really know. And I think HUD is dealing with that effect right now where, you know, our team was already small. It was tiny. It was very lean. We were literally called the lean, mean team. It was 2 people handling 4,000 congressional inquiries. We were tasked with helping these local grantees that have no experience with federal government. And without us, a lot of people are going to have to take out additional loans, mortgages on the funds that they were supposed to be using.
You came to the government from Harvard University. I'm sure you could have got a different gig, probably a higher paying gig. I think all of you told me that. You probably could have made more money elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Will you stay in the federal government now? Or are you going to have to look outside the government?
I'm keeping all opportunities open right now, but my whole passion has been public service. That's what I love to do, and that's what we want to do, especially as PMFs. And I think right now it's a major slap in the face to be told that we're not being productive members of this society when all we want to do is serve the American public.
And let's get to our geologist here tonight. Alex Taylor, you were fired from the U.S. Geological Survey. You were telling me that one of Trump's executive orders is directed at growing the domestic critical minerals supply and industry here, which your work was directly supporting at the U.S. Geological Survey. How do you square that circle?
I really can't. I think it speaks to the fact that they weren't paying attention to who they were firing. I conducted scientific research on sourcing unconventional deposits of critical minerals in the United States, which the administration has indicated through multiple executive orders is a high priority for them.
Yes, exactly.
But now my research is left unfinished.
And what are the long-term implications for research at USGS if they're firing people like you?
I think targeting early career researchers is devastating for the agency, just because the workforce tends to skew older already, and if we lose our junior staff, the institutional knowledge is at risk of not being passed down to up-and-coming geologists and other scientists. So I don't think it's going to be good for our research capabilities.
I'm really sorry for what happened to you all, and I'm really super grateful to be able to watch the speech with you guys tonight and to talk about it with you and with our viewers afterward. Thank you. And Nicole, one of the things that I think is important to underscore here is that those four faces you just looked at, the people that were fired in the name of efficiency, each of them said they had been working to make the government more efficient in their jobs up until the day that they were fired.
I mean, Jacob, my question, because they all worked on the specific mission that DOJ is supposed to be carrying out, do they have any theories as to why DOJ wants access to everyone's personal data and information? Any
theories, guys? You guys hear Nicole's question there? Everybody is bewildered, Nicole, and I think that that's sort of the theme, is that it's hard to understand why you would fire someone collecting funds in the forest from people, somebody making the immigration system more efficient, working on critical minerals that the president said that he wanted, working at housing and urban development to get money to localities and make sure the money is spent efficiently and effectively. It's just sitting here talking to these guys, getting to know them. I don't have an answer either.
Wow. Jacob, thank you so much. We are really, really glad that you were with those folks and going to be watching to them tonight. The thing I am most interested in for the entire night of everything that's going to happen in this coverage is their reaction to what they're going to hear tonight from the president. Thank you so much. It's great to meet all of those very, very impressive folks.